Join me as I dive into the real world of real estate development and uncover the hidden costs that might be draining your profits. When it comes to property development, most people think they need all they know to be successful. They think it's all about making the right decision about the location, funding, constructing a beautiful building. But there's more to it than that. There are costs involved that can make or break a project, and often they're not even considered before it's too late. So that's what I'm going to talk to you about today. So acquisition costs is one. We're just going through this on a site that we've got commercial to residential, where we've had extended legal costs from the funder, our costs, and we haven't had to fund the seller's costs, but there are other costs associated with the funder, such as getting a survey done of the building to value it. And then for development funding, we've had to get another survey done and a quantity surveyor appointed and more legal costs. So it's a very onerous and time-consuming process. So I got the planning permission on this one site on the 12th of June last year, and here we are past the 12th of March in 2025. We still don't have development funding. It took months to get the funding to purchase the building, and then to get the development funding. It's another ordeal with the funder who go through a lot of due diligence, and it's very time consuming, and all this due diligence is at the developer's cost. So think twice about when you put down £3,000 for solicitor's fees and the appropriate stamp duty. £3,000 doesn't go very far with a solicitor. And then don't forget about all these other surveys. The MRICS surveyor, we paid for one last August. We got to pay the same surveyor again because apparently the survey is out of date, more than 6 months, and so we've got to pay another £3,000 plus. And it's seriously eats into the profits from a development. So another reason that budget overruns occur is that developers don't plan for contingencies. Well, I've just given you some examples of why you need contingencies. You may think you can stick to the original budget, the original figures you write on the sheet of paper, whatever your calculations are, but the reality is that unexpected expenses will always occur, whether it's asbestos or contamination on the site. So whatever the situation, if it's a natural disaster, a change of government regulations, or an unexpected issue with soil or dry or wet rot, this is quite a frequent problem. There'll always be something to throw a wrench in your plans for which you need contingency. That's why it's essential to have a contingency fund in place to absorb these unexpected expenses and to ensure that your project stays on track and you actually make money from it. I looked at one development just yesterday in Portsmouth. It was a mixed residential and commercial, suitable for conversion to residential. But when I looked at the actual costs of conversion, it was prohibitive. You could go through a whole load of work and the cost would actually eradicate any profit. So the GDV in that area is going to be no more than £1 million. The cost came up to £950,000, assuming you bought at the asking price. So clearly the asking price is too high. Sellers don't want to reduce the prices, so the only thing to do is just move on. So, moreover, developers often overlook the importance of ongoing communication with their team and stakeholders. So when you're dealing with a complex project, it's easy to get caught up in the minutiae and lose sight of the bigger picture. But it's essential to keep everyone informed and engaged to ensure that everyone is working towards the same goal. This includes not only your team, but also your investors, your contractors, and your community. Developers are often underestimate the power of community involvement and your stakeholders' involvement. They think they can just steamroller ahead with the project without considering the impact it will have on the local community and those stakeholders. But the reality is that community involvement is crucial to the success of any property development project. You need to engage with the community, listen to their concerns and address their needs. This will not only ensure that your project is more profitable, but also it's sustainable for you in the long run. So when it comes to property development, there are so many hidden costs that can impact profitability, as I outlined earlier: surveyors' fees and legal costs. One of the biggest ones is permits. So obtaining the necessary permits can be lengthy and expensive, and it's often overlooked by developers. They think they can just start building without getting the necessary permits. Well, of course, you need planning permission, for which there are fees that are payable, and then the planning process may throw up other fees that you need to incur. Like one of the recent developments, they required a sound survey from the building. Now, this in itself cost £4,000 and was unnecessary, really, because all of the adjacent buildings had all been converted to flats. Nevertheless, to get your planning approval, you need to jump through the hoops and you need to get the survey done. Another issue that was raised was what provision was there for flood prevention. Well, this was a building on a small hill, so there would have been a flood of biblical proportions for that house even to be under danger of flooding. But these are the sorts of things that you need to spend time to satisfy questions that may be asked by the environmental department in the local authority. There are other issues, of course. There's hidden costs of labour shortages if you're in certain areas that don't have enough pool of labour. You can be dealing with a complex project where you need highly skilled trades to get the job done. So you need to book these trades well in advance, because these are busy people. If they're specialists, they're going to be booked up for months in advance. So you're left with no choice either to stomach the delay to the project or pay a premium to get somebody in at the time you need them. Delays are another hidden cost that can impact profitability. Everyone knows that time is money, and when you're dealing with a real estate development project, delays can be costly because all your costs go up proportionate to the delay, and then you may incur penalties even. Whether it's a delay in obtaining the necessary permits, so it's not only planning permission, it's also building control permits, delay in the construction process, or a delay in the sale of the property, every day counts. And then there's market fluctuations. The real estate market is constantly changing, and it's essential to stay ahead of the curve. If you're not prepared for changes in the market, you can be left with a project that's no longer profitable. I want to share a case study that illustrates how a developer overcome these hidden costs to achieve success. A few years ago, a developer I knew was working on a project in a highly sought-after neighbourhood. These are always the best places to develop high-value areas. The project was complex with multiple residential units and commercial spaces. The developer had a solid team in place, and they'd done their due diligence in terms of planning and budgeting. But despite their best efforts, they encountered several unexpected expenses, including a delay in obtaining the necessary permits and shortage of skilled labour. Thanks to their contingency fund, they were able to absorb these unexpected expenses, and stay on track. They also worked closely with the local community to ensure that the project met their needs and expectations. So through ongoing communication and collaboration, they were able to stay ahead of the curve and deliver a project that exceeded everyone's expectations. The project was profitable, and it's now one of the most sought-after addresses in the neighbourhood. So you need to overcome the problems in order to create high-value assets, which are your key to maintaining profitability, because high-quality assets will always sell. People will always go for high-quality refurbishment or a new build in a good location. So you choose the location of the site right, and you get the product right, and you will achieve good sales values. The alternative being that you can hold the units for a few years and then sell them at a later date when the market improves. or just hold them indefinitely and rent them out. There's plenty of demand for rental accommodation. So in conclusion, property development is a complex process that requires careful planning and budgeting. It's essential to anticipate unexpected expenses and budget overruns. This is what your contingency is for. By staying ahead of the curve, engaging with the community and being prepared for hidden costs, you can ensure that your project is profitable and sustainable in the long run. Remember, thorough budgeting and planning are key to success in property development. Thanks for watching, and I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. Have you experienced any unexpected expenses or budget overrun in your property development projects? What strategies have you used to overcome them? And don't forget to check out my other videos on other property development tips and strategies. So if you want to speak to me, that's Alan at Alpus Group. My telephone number is 07539 141257, or from outside the UK it's +44 7539 141257, or it's 0333 224 1257. From outside the UK it's +44 333 224 1257. You can schedule a call with me at calendly.com/AlanJE, or you can simply drop an email to alan@alpusgroup.com. Cheers for now.